Hey everybody, so this is episode 2 of my series on the brand new rewards cards. I spent a lot of time with my family this weekend. It was pretty good. I hope you enjoyed your Memorial Day. Thank you for anyone in your family that has served the American military, and especially an extra thank you if anyone died. I didn't do that in episode 1 because I recorded it before this, and then I spent some time with family, and now we're getting back into making videos. So let's go ahead and jump into the life team, and we'll go over the first 2 rewards cards here on Earth, and then life. I'll make a separate video about the life summoner, but I might mention the fact that he is designed to make a few of these cards better, particularly Jared's Scar when we go over that one. The Vampire Bat is a very interesting card. So this card it gets really fast, really decent life for only 3 mana cost, 3 damage, which is nice, and then it flies and has dodge. This is very, very, very similar to a card I'll show you before. If we go back to the beta set and the neutrals, there is the cockatrice, and the cockatrice is the bane of people's existence, and I don't have one at highest level, but see, it had very similar stats, 2, 4, so see, a little bit faster, but a little bit less life than our vampiric bat. So we'll take that one off, and we'll take neutrals off, and we'll go back to the bat. So you can imagine the placement for this card is really front row tank and low mana that can dodge. Very last position, anti-sneak, and all melee have sneak kind of game, super sneak. Also, if you have a game mode where everyone gets enraged, then he becomes a very interesting first row tank, especially on the life team, where if you play him with Llama, that gives him 2 extra life. If you play him with a few of the different cards that are in the background that give extra HP, he could be sitting up front with 8, 9 HP, get enraged, jump up to 7 speed with flying and dodge, and just be a serious problem when it comes to actually hitting this card. Now, he doesn't have phase, so magic is a weakness for him, and so you'll just have to take that into account when you play him. Not such a big deal if you use him in your last positions to make sneak monsters miss. There is a few magic sneak monsters in the game, but with 6 HP, those ones are not usually going to take him down super quick, and all the melee ones might have a hard time hitting him. So it's a very interesting card, not overpowered, but useful, and one that's probably worth getting to level for whatever level you play at, because I expect this card to be relatively cheap. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Vampiric Blossom. Of course, people have talked about this card in the past. I think we all know what it's designed for, and that's kind of to be an anti-llama single monster anything, but at the same time, it doesn't have close range, so then you're like, how does that work? Well, Llama Cube doesn't attack, so if you put anything in front of him, then he should be able to go ahead and kill that cube over time, because when the cube gets down to being the very last monster, if the Vampiric Blossom is hitting it, it's at 3, it oppresses up to 6, and then it death blows up to 12. If you can get this 3 to a 4, there is a couple ways to do that. For the people who are lucky enough to have the Prince or a Selena, they can get this to 4, and then it doubles to 8, and then it's hitting for 16. The cube cannot usually heal for 12 or 16, and if there is any additional damage going into it, this helps. Also, this also counters any time you really think that you're going to have a single big monster possibly on the board. Now you can play the life team where you can put like the fallen Spectre in the front, and then the failed summoner in the front for 2, the Vampiric Blossom behind him, that's only 7. Even in like a 12 or 13 mana match, you throw a little bit more damage in there, and hopefully if it gets down to where they're using just like a llama something, the Vampiric Blossom is just blowing that monster up. I know you can see Llama Golem, you can see Llama Hydra, you can see Llama Pellicore Mercenary. That's one I do sometimes. This counters all of those moves. It's interesting that it's within the green team, but that makes the most sense, because then if Llama single monster is ever available, Vampiric Blossom will be there and will be able to counter it. Now we'll talk a little bit about the cards that these cards play well with. Now obviously, when you look at the green team, we want to at least go ahead and add on Chaos Legion and Dice. I'm not going to really be looking at the older cards, because this videos more for the newer players and the modern players. So when you play the Vampiric Bat, if you can get your hands on a Wood Nymph, and Wood Nymph's going to be going away, but for now, if you have one here that has Strength in, that's pretty cool. But these 2 cards here, they might be going away soon once you get into that Modern and Wild format. So Realistically, the Vampiric Bat looks to be kind of like an interesting front row tank in one of the situations where you play it with Mycelia. Mycelia will give him armor, and then he has enough HP to take a decent hit, especially if you play protect him a little bit with the shrooms. Sorry about that cough. So the shroom, the Goblin Psychic, and the Epic Shroom. Where is he? He's part of Untamed, and I'm just blind. I'm sure he's right in front of my eyes somewhere. Oh, maybe he's not part of Untamed. Oh, I don't have Untamed checked. I'm a dork. So the Untamed, the other one has silence as well, this shroom. So if you play one of these silences for him, that'll help protect the Vampiric Bat from being blown away with magic. And then if you're playing him with the new summoner, that might be helpful too, but we don't know the stats of that new summoner yet. In general, you can play this card to kind of save some mana, give you a front row take. You can also put a secondary tankish card in place. There's not a lot on the green team that really stand out, but the Harvester is not a terrible card in that. Oh, no, wait, the Harvester isn't the one I was thinking of. This one. The Orc Sergeant isn't the worst one to use if you do have him leveled up all the way. He's one of the few Untamed cards I still didn't level, and maybe I'll go ahead and fork out that money over time. But he has that Inspire, so if you are playing like a Goblin Thief or, a Venari Scout, and you're trying to do some kind of interesting melee damage from the back row, then the Vampiric Bat can be in the front with the Orc Sergeant behind him. That's an 8 mana combo that gives him Inspire, and that's kind of some fun things there. As far as the Blossom, I think he combos well in any one of the decks that you're going to be running kind of the archers of the team. So you got the Blossom, you've got the Javelin Thrower doesn't count for the new set. You have the Headhunter, you have the Hunter Jacks, you have the Beatrix Iron Hand. So you can see they have some very good archers on the team. With Prince Rinian going away, Modern could be getting a new summoner that buffs archers in some way. I don't know if it'll be an extra attack like he gives. It might be something like a piercing. Piercing would make a lot of sense with the Void armor that came onto the Life team, making armor so good. Maybe they'll get Shatter or something like that. We don't know for sure. You can also, I mentioned using him with the Fallen Summoner. This is why Fallen Summoner has the strength in. The Fallen Summoner can be up front and then the Blossom behind, and you got a good chance of the Blossom, the classic summoner, the Fallen Summoner with some healers on the back end with some high HP, good heal, low mana, and then this big Vampiric Blossom going ahead and dealing some blows, and some big blows if you get down to one big monster that is left over. There's also the Venari Small Seedsmith that would be on that Archer team that they can play. The Blossom has a decent amount of HP in the last position, but not a ton at 7, so it's just an interesting card. It's really meant to combo anytime you think that somebody might be doing Llama something. Well, then you go ahead and do something like Mylord or Wizard of Eastwood to take away the armor. And you put the Blossom in the back row, and you put something like Fallen Summoner in front of it with maybe something else with a decent amount of HP. Barking Spider's really cheap. Just something so that you can make sure that he can continue to attack, and hopefully he takes that person out. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the life ones. We'll take Earth off the board. And we'll talk first about the Vulgaine. So the Vulgaine is a similar card to the Vampiric Bat in that it's a slow. It's really meant to be kind of a cheap tank for certain positions. But his kind of interesting set is that he's kind of slow. So he plays on the team that gives everyone armor. So he should be protected from taking too much damage early on. Maybe a mage will be able to ping him. Now with 4 HP, obviously, if he takes the first attack from a mage, you're in trouble because there's plenty of people that can kill him. But you play him maybe with Lorena, you play him where we end with a protect, and you protect him a little bit. Really, the idea here is you're trying to get him hurt, and then once he's hurt, his damage is going to go up to 5, his speed is going to go up, and then with the scavenge and the dodge, all of a sudden he becomes a card that can become very powerful. So this is kind of an interesting one. I'm not positive quite how to play him. You could play him as your last monster. That way when a sneak monster comes and hits him, if they do, He gets enraged, then they hopefully miss the rest of their attacks. You could maybe play him as a secondary tank, and in very low mana, he could be a front row tank. Now, obviously, on the QA servers, he was very strong because he did get this speed lowered from 4 to 3. He is one of the few monsters to get changed. I went over already the main one that got changed on the fire team, Mrs. Contessa, but he was the only other card I noticed that got changed from the QA testing, unless something I forgot about, but he's the one that I saw. And again, all of these stats I'm showing you are as of Monday, with all of them about to come out tomorrow on Tuesday. So hopefully this video will stay up to date and we won't have to go over them again. Now, if we go over and take a quick look at Carr was interesting because in discussions with some people and on Luke's video, I said I wasn't super impressed by him because with 2 armor and 6 HP and only 2 speed, I felt like he would fall victim to death before attack quite often. Then they showed us the new summoner. He turns this 2 armor into void armor. Now those 2 mages, I was expecting to just blow him away because it was easy to put 2 mages on the board that can deal 6 damage. You can imagine them doing like a protect, moving that armor up to 3 just from the summoner, then moving it up to 6 or 8, and now it's like Carr sitting there with, well, maybe 8's a little extreme, but easily 5 to 7, and now he's got 5 to 7 armor that's void armor and 6 HP with true strike and hitting for 7 with piercing. All of a sudden he's a beast. He's a super beast. He's an amazing card, and so everybody, Carr by himself is going to be pushing people to want to buy more packs to get that new legendary summoner out there in circulation. I mean, let's just face it. Now, Jared is also, he's one of the newest characters in the game with Bloodlust. He adds into Grum, but he gets something that Grum doesn't have that makes him a lot more playable, and that's True Strike. He's also only 7 mana, so you can fit him in on a lot more teams. And then it looked like he wasn't going to have Void Armor, which Grum does have to protect him, and you find out the new summoner is going to give it to him. That combo is definitely going to be a version of new meta for the Life team. It's going to be a change, and also the Life team already has Shield Bearer even without the Void Armor for back row taunt Shield Bearer, front monster Carr, and that's something that's going to be a very interesting combo as well. This kind of stuff is pretty crazy, but let's take a look at the Life team and kind of see where these cards fit. When you look for low cost, they definitely didn't have a melee monster they could throw in the front position. They have Pelacor Conjurer, but you have to imagine that like sometimes you don't want that 0 cost monster. So now you can, for 2 mana, put the Vulgaine in the first position, maybe in like a 12 or 13 or 14 mana match, and you can give him armor. You can play him with Lorena Shine, and then maybe if things work out the right way, he won't die right away. Some other monsters will die. His HP will scavenge up. His speed will go real high. He'll become really hard for melee monsters to hit. And, it'll just be really good. He's also somebody that benefits from the idea of getting 1 Void Armor, though. It will prevent a big mage from blowing him away early in the game, because even if he just picks up that 1 Void Armor, it will protect him. Obviously, he probably combines, like, if you look at the summoners on the team currently, I think he maybe works best with Laura Shine and Mother Kala in like low mana matches, because even giving him 1 HP might give him an extra ability to at least get into that enrage mode where he's going to be most effective. Now, when we do look at that card, one of the things to mention, he's probably not that playable pre-enrage. So you need him all the way up here. Well, pre-dodge. Now, before dodge and scavenge, the other way that you could use this card is you can use it as your secondary tank, because it's going to scavenge. So let's say you're playing it in silver or in bronze, right? So you put him in your second position as a 1/2 tank for 2 mana, say behind a pretty good tank that costs 5 or 6. So you're talking about a combined cost of 8. Hopefully the battle rages for a little while, and by the time he hits the front row, he has 6 or 7 HP from scavenging. Then if you get him up to here and you're playing now in the gold area, you do a similar setup where he scavenges up and becomes your next tank, and then he picks up dodge, and then eventually when you get him maxed out, if you're playing in the upper levels, he has that enrage, and that's another use case for him. Is your secondary tank. The first tank takes the bulk of the damage of the battle. Then by the time they get rid of him, they go, oh boy, you got a Vulgaine sitting there with 7 HP. It's going to enrage when you hit it. It's got dodge, so it's kind of hard to hit. And he's going, go ahead and hit me first on that first when I only have 3 speed. Then I'm going to blow up and just smash you back in the face. All right, everybody. I hope in general this gave you a bit of an idea. I don't think Jared's that hard to play. He's going to be your first position guy almost every single time. The idea is that he's going to just pound people when he attacks them. You're going to want to put attackers in front of him that can be kind of fast and help weaken that guy so he can get bloodlust off. And you're going to also want to play him possibly with the shield bearer in the last position in higher mana matches, so all of the big attacks are going to the shield bearer and he's just one-on-one with a tank in front of him sitting there with his void armor. Not to mention, when you do that, shield bearer will have void armor too, so the shield bearer is not just going to get popped by some big mages in the back. And you can imagine to play something like Lone Boatman in that deck because of the repair, or some other kind of cards that might do the repairing, such as Scalvo, so that he can't be targeted. And then you can kind of focus fire on the first position to make sure that Jared can hopefully start bloodlusting off. Every bloodlust giving him an additional armor that might be a void armor just seems pretty ridiculous. All right, everybody, that wraps up those two teams, and there'll be another video with the last ones.